This episode of Hak5 is brought to you by Domain.com.
Hello and welcome to Hak5. My name is Darren Kitchen.
I'm Shannon Morse.
It's your weekly dose of Technolust.
Welcome to the show.
I am so excited to be here.
I am too.
Yes.
Can we talk about our new announcement?
What we just added to
We've
the
been
collective.
announcing stuff like every week. This is
It's been
awesome.
very fun. No, we actually
Busy.
have a whole lineup of stuff. Yes. We're like booked out until the end of season 18. I can't believe it. Like we finally, I know it took a little while to get settled into the new place, but things are just like on fire right now.
So this week we are releasing the new format of ThreatWire. ThreatWire is back. So this was a short form format show where we talk about what's threatening your security, your privacy, and internet freedom. So we're bringing it back to you with not just Darren and I, but also a third host, and that's going to be Patrick Norton.
Yes.
Yay!
This is so exciting. We fought long and hard to keep the trademark for that. It was, we were just so excited to be able to bring you that when it was launched as a YouTube partner thing, and now that we've maintained all of that stuff, we can bring it back and do it in the way that it deserves to be done. I feel like we're doing it justice this way, and so it took a little while to get everything all rolling, but I'm so proud of what we've put together.
And since we're doing it in this new way with no ads, no sponsors, and we don't plan to bring on any ads or sponsors anytime since it's about, threats, ThreatWire, we are doing it strictly via patrons. So we will be able to accept contributions.
Not strictly, they can also get stickers at the Hak
shop. We're
going to
do merch too.
Bitcoin and stuff. So
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
true. But no company, no branding like backing
I love
us.
That.
Yeah, we're doing it strictly for Patreon. So you can go over to patreon.com/ThreatWire. And you can contribute over there and become a patron.
It's going to be on the Hak5 YouTube channel,
yeah.
And soon enough, hopefully, we'll have some RSS goodness if we reach the right milestones. And I don't know, this is just really exciting times for us. And I just want to thank you guys ahead of time for making this happen because we're so proud to be doing this. And it's like...
So many people walk out to us at cons and they're just like, when are you bringing back ThreatWire? And I'm just like, oh, I really want to do it. We can't find the time. And I'm really happy that we can do it now.
Yes.
This is exciting.
It's like the battle station is fully operational.
We're starting the Federation for a battleship.
Yes, exactly.
Can we build a spaceship?
Borg Cube? No, JKLOL. Hey! Let's talk about social networks.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. So, are you on Facebook?
I am. I'm on Facebook. I think I have a page. I haven't logged in just about as long as I've logged into my MySpace. But Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. It's all just facilitating the goodness where we can share what's in our hearts and our dreams.
Those are considered like centralized social networks.
Well, yeah, when you log into Facebook, you log into their servers, and then you post something and you make it private, and then like a year later, Mark Zuckerberg decides to change privacy policy, and then next thing you know, everybody's seen your junk.
You have to follow their terms of service. There's certain things that you can and cannot post, and there's certain things that they can do behind the scenes.
That's right. Instagram
Anybody
now
owns that server.
Yep.
Yeah, Instagram just changed their TOS.
Yep, no more nudie pics on the, I don't know, what is it that you can't do again?
I don't know.
Anyway.
The UK is just like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, the UK is crazy. Get a VPN. It's kind of ridiculous too because, on the one hand, like I understand, it's like, this is your playground, you get to make the rules. I'm just here to have fun, and you're going to monetize on me. And that's okay.
They want to monetize, but they can't do it if they're just putzing ads at you all day. They could, but then nobody would use it. Yeah, there are alternatives. Yeah,
it's like, why put all of your eggs in one basket when you can just, distribute the load? And I guess that's kind of one of the ideas behind distributed, decentralized social networks is that there's not one central authority. You can kind of think about it as the difference between, say, Napster, where like you're downloading your MP3 song from like one guy, and it's just facilitating you to get to that guy, versus BitTorrent, where it's like a swarm of people, and there's no one node that's in control of it all.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah. So basically it means that users can communicate across several different social network websites with others on other websites because the networks are interoperable. That's just one of the many cool things about using a decentralized social network.
Yeah,
so you're not just stuck in that one place.
Yeah, that's the exciting thing about open protocols like XMPP and other stuff like that allows the facilitation of like different networks to talk to each other because vendor lock-in is never fun.
No.
So, we've got so many great open protocols that that you can build amazing stuff on top of.
Yeah, XMPP, like you mentioned, there's
That's
OAuth.
Jabber.
Yeah, Jabber, of course. There's Open Social, and then there's other widgets and APIs that you can just work into websites. So for example, you might have been using something like a decentralized social network whenever you go to a website and you start using like their comment section to post a bunch of comics. But it turns out if you're using Facebook at the same time, you're actually logged into Facebook and you're also commenting on their Facebook post.
Yeah.
So that's kind of decentralized in that way, even though it is Facebook.
Well, it's decentralized in a way. Well, it's distributed.
Yeah, it's
Like,
distributed.
it's distributed, but it's not decentralized because it's, again, just going to Facebook's playground.
Right. Distributed.
So, it turns out there are some awesome alternatives out there. These have been around for a little while. In 2010, big momentum got behind one named Diaspora. And Diaspora is pretty cool. It's kind of complicated. We're going to be talking about another alternative that we believe is a lot better. And in fact, we've rolled our own here at Hak5, so you can start playing with it today.
Yes, so you can go over to social.hak5.org and you can start playing with our own version of Friendica. So Friendica is one of these distributed social networks, and it kind of stands out because it's extensively obsessed with privacy. Like all sorts of different settings that you can set up and all sorts of things that you can do on the server if you're installing your own Friendica settings, or Friendica, I guess, system.
Node.
Yes, node.
So our node is over at social.hak5.org, and you can just go to it right now. In fact, I'm logged in, and I can actually see, my friends. Like, this is my feed. I can see like what people are posting, and it's great because these people aren't even necessarily on our community. So
Yeah,
there's
they
the
aren't on
network level.
hak5.social.org, but they're talking to us through the nodes.
Yeah, then there's the community level, which is our local group where I can see like just the Hak5 peeps.
Exactly.
So it's pretty cool.
It also integrates with other things too. So not just other nodes of Friendica, but you can also use it to talk to people on Facebook or Twitter or Diaspora, for example, GNU Social, App.net. There's a whole bunch of different ones that it's built in so that you can, basically distribute your comments to several different places at once.
Right. Think about the early 2000s where we had like instant messaging was kind of the thing before social networks, and you had all of those walled gardens, be it Yahoo Instant Messenger, MSN Instant Messenger, AIM, all of those. And then there were alternatives like Trello, which would Trello, was that the name of it?
Trello, yeah.
Yeah. No, not Trello.
Well, Trello was the audio thing, so you could
it?
talk to people via games.
No, I don't remember. Somebody let me know the name of the, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there were clients that would that had reverse engineered their protocols to be able to speak to all of them so that you didn't have to install like 3 different chat clients. This is kind of
I
the
used
same
that.
idea.
Gosh, what was that called?
It wasn't Trello.
I feel like there was a bird.
Pigeon did it, but there was a few others.
Oh, okay. I used
Anyway,
Pigeon.
yeah,
That's the one I'm
Pigeon's good
thinking of.
stuff.
So Friendica is basically, you have all these different instances of it. So if you want to, you could just sign up on some other Friendica instance, and then you could friend us over on Hak5 or social.hak5.org. But since this is like open source, it's free, and everybody can use it, Darren's going to walk us through the installation on his server next week, I believe.
Yes, it's quite involved, and actually it's a really great example about doing a bunch of awesome stuff now that we're building out the Hak5 network that is the rack of servers network, not the collective of shows. And it's really exciting because this takes advantage of, it goes into Apache, it goes into setting up SSL, it goes into databases. It's a really great example of setting up cool server stuff that you might want to do inside your organization or just for fun to learn. But regardless, it's a ridiculously awesome distributed, decentralized social network. And we want to encourage people to use it because I feel like the future of the internet should be more free and open than the homes that we have burrowed into on these proprietary networks. Not that those are bad, they're fine, and integrate with them too, but just don't expect, to own your stuff there because it's not yours.
Yeah.
Not your playground.
It wasn't yours to begin with, ever since you uploaded those things.
Yeah.
Nope. So anyway, this week I wanted to give you just a quick rundown of some things that you can do as far as settings and security and how you can set up your profile so you can get started on our Hak5 social network if you want to. So if you go over to your settings, which is just under your name up at the top, click on settings and you'll have a whole bunch of options down here as far as password, your basic settings for security and privacy, such as when you want to receive notifications and who do you want to see your public profile and stuff like that. I do want to note though, whenever you do sign up, make sure that your email address is a legit one, because they are going to send you a temporary password when you first sign up, which you can change after that. And they don't have any limits on their passwords, which I figured out very easily when I decided to change mine to a 46-character password.
Nice.
And then I changed it again, so you don't know how long my password is anymore.
And I think it uses bcrypt or something like that on the back end. Anyway, we'll be getting into that as well.
Sweet.
I mean, in fact, the emails are even using sendmail, or was it
Oh.
postfix? So, like I said, lots of cool stuff on the back end here to make this work.
I think we tried both.
Yeah.
And then also, I did want to mention as well, if you're going to use a nickname, which you probably should because it ends up in your profile link, that's going to be in your link forever. So mine is /snubs on the social Hak5 Friendica page.
Right, and
I can't change
Hak5
that.
Darren.
Yeah.
Right, you can't change that after. But that's great because since this is all federated, if you join a different Friendica node and you look for Hak5 Darren, you'll find me.
Yeah, you could go to our profile link and you could friend us from there.
There you go.
You can also do some things like editing your profile. And under here, unlike things like Facebook, they give you a lot of options that aren't necessarily a social norm.
Well, they're a lot more progressive.
They are,
right?
yeah.
I mean, like a lot of the proprietary mainstream ones want you to fit into some sort of social norm box.
Like a box, yep.
Not understanding that, the world's a gradient. It's not black and white.
So I put my gender, I'm currently male.
Right.
Obviously. My status is imaginarily married, because this ring ain't real.
Sure. You just made a bunch of hackers very happy.
Let's see, my likes are Cylon's replicants and Skynet, and my dislikes are humans.
Of course.
I don't like humans.
Shannon's a skin
Oh,
zone.
and my love and romance. I like taking advantage of humans for my own political agenda.
Yes. I'm registered as a technosexual. See, can't do that on Facebook.
I also wanted to show you something cool with my contacts. Once you friend a bunch of people, they show up under this little drop-down box called contacts. And if you want to do anything like talk to your friends, I could talk to Darren, for example. I can do pretty similar stuff to other social networks like poke him. But if you go there, you also get a whole bunch of options. So instead of poking, I could slap you.
What?
So I'm going to slap you.
Oh.
I could make this private if I wanted to, but I want everybody to see that I slapped you.
You want everybody to know that /me slapped Hak5 Darren around with a smelly fish.
So then it'll show up on my
Piracy
home and my little status feed, and then I can do things like the post, share the post, repost it, or I can delete it too, which is not something that you see on every social network. And from there, of course, you can upload files, you can upload MP3s and share those out, links, of course, videos.
It's like a regular full-featured social network, and it integrates with all of the other ones if you want to do that as well. So you don't have to kind of like get into some sort of tinfoil hat silo where you're like not a part of the rest of the world. It's like we understand in this new age you have to kind of be social to be part of the community. And,
Darn.
Yeah.
I have to go outside.
No, we're not all moving to Montana. Although we love you guys.
I like Montana. They have horses.
Yes, and they have Missoula. You're not going to find that anywhere else.
What's Missoula?
It's in Montana.
Oh, okay. I'll look it up. Moving on.
Moving on. We want to know what you guys think because we think this is pretty epic and we're going to be diving into the server build on next week's show, but you can already go ahead and get into it on social.hak5.org and post comments and like us and add our accounts and I had mine set up as a fan account, so it would automatically add everybody as a fan, and then Sebastian sends me a screenshot. Seb from the Wi-Fi Pineapple is like, "Oh, I see how it is," and it's like a screenshot. Hak5 Darren has accepted you as a fan, and I'm like, "Oh." So anyway, now you can friend me properly. Sorry about that, Sebastian.
We love you, Seb.
It's so good. This is going to be fun. I can't wait between Jitsi and Friendica and all of the fun things that we're building out here. It's going to be epic. So we do value your feedback. Let us know. And you know what? This kind of ties in with what we're going to be talking about here in just a bit with Stina from Yubico. I know we had a vendor on Hak5. It's really weird for us to do this, but she had the awesome opportunity to talk to the president of the U.S. about security and privacy and internet freedom, all of that stuff. And they're actually doing some really cool stuff. We're talking about
That's cool.
About ways to use authentication to secure more than just the authentication, to secure the message, encrypt all the things.
The authentication is secure the authentication?
Sorry, encryption? Encryption? Use encryption.
That sounds good.
Encrypt all the kittens. We'll be right back, but first we're going to check in with, see what's going on in TechThing.
Hak5, it's Patrick here from Shannon's other show, Tech Thing. Do us a favor if you want to find out what's going on with Microsoft's Build 2015. Is there a launch date for Windows 10? Is the HoloLens coming soon? Where is the Raspberry Pi distro? Well, go check us out at techthing.com or youtube.com/techthing, because you'll also find out if I ever got that Apple Watch for testing and Shannon's word on the latest in Xbox One headsets. Techthing.com, youtube.com/techthing. Please check it out.
So last week we had the awesome opportunity to talk to Stina and Jared from YubiKey, and you guys are back. Thank you. We were talking about FIDO and U2F and basically universal two-factor and how we can simplify the process rather than using a dozen different apps and a dozen different standards to securely log into things like Bank of America and your Google account and things of that nature. But this is one, a huge hot topic that it's more than just geeks that are really interested in high security, and two, something that can potentially go beyond authentication. So Sina, I wanted to ask you, you got the chance to meet President Obama at the White House Cybersecurity Summit. What was that all about?
So it was because of our involvement and contribution to the FIDO U2F protocol. Our goal is that that becomes a global standard, not here for, not only for American citizens, 300 million people, but eventually for 3 billion people. And it's not, it's not Ubico standard, it's for everyone. And it solves the problems that President Obama has highlighted, and that's why he came here. He came to Stanford to invite the tech companies and the financial services to say, hey, we have a problem, let's try to figure out how we can work on it. I basically walked up to, I had the opportunity to get an in-person meeting with Obama, and there is some interesting discussion now how we can really take the FIDO U2F protocol into something that can help everyone. And one of the ways we are looking at now is how do you ensure that this is your real identity? Because the FIDO U2F was designed for privacy. You can buy the product online today at Amazon, and you don't have to tell who you are when you sign it up for a Google account. But if you want to have it for government services, then the government or financial services want to know who you are. And so there is a discussion with identity assurance organization, including US Postal Service, on how can you connect a device that you buy somewhere, you go into the Postal Service or other organizations. They're not the only one who are in this process. And then you tie it to your real identity. Now you're real you.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's scary. You may or may not want that.
Yeah, I think the option should be available for everyone. I'm seeing the future. You'll have 3 identities. You got your work identity. You got your real identity. Where you do your taxes online and you pay your, everything, the Social Security, DMV, you do that online. You shouldn't stand in a queue for that. That's
then you've got your stilettos in the Castro and fishnet stockings on Saturday nights.
Exactly. Whoever, my
whoever
alter
you happen
ego,
to be.
Whoever you want to be.
Yes.
So I think, or you can even have more. But I'm seeing those 3 identities, and U2F was designed to protect all of these opportunities. And when we launched the FIDO U2F protocol, we actually sent a bunch of these to dissidents around the world to protect their online identity. Because it's not in the very simple version where you just get it. We don't know who it is.
That's a really okay. So there's a lot there. I want to come back and address some of those. Like for instance, the hacker-minded might be like, oh yeah, that open source U2F stuff, and wait, the president likes it. Okay, something doesn't smell right here. When we talk about, for example, the kind of heat that Bruce Schneier got, talking about how we need open encryption and strong crypto in a post 9/11 world, and certain government agencies not so happy with that kind of idea, and living in the world where we are right now, where certain agencies would like to see backdoors and encryption implemented by default, and so. If this is truly open source and cross-platform and used by all of these different companies, and the president's liking it, what do you say to those kind of people that are like a little bit weary of that in that case?
I don't know what you want to comment, Jared.
I think that that it's you have to protect the good guys and you want to keep the bad guys out, right? And that's the basic principle. We look at it as if if the federal government wants to use a standard that can help for the good cause, then they should. Whether you choose to use it or not, I mean, that's still an individual choice, right? So even if the federal government decide that you can use this if you want, the great thing is that from our perspective, the user makes the decision. So when we provide the open standard, anyone should be able to adopt the standard. It shouldn't be just a government or a private bank or an individual building his own blog site, but let the user decide, and that's what we believe. We believe to bring your own keys, right? And you decide the key to associate with which organization. I think that's a huge difference between some of the models around where someone issues you the key, and that's scary in some ways.
Yeah.
We feel that if you decide you want to associate the key with that whatever organization, you made that decision yourself. So that's pretty different.
Yeah, I moved from Sweden 4 years ago, and in Sweden we've got a national ID system where the government controls, and here is your national ID card, and this is what you can do to pay your taxes and.
Right, because you can go online and pay your taxes because that problem has already been solved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that. And you couldn't do it here in the U.S. So, but that's owned by the government. And in Sweden, it's a small country where we trust our government, and we eat that. Here, it would not work. So, what we are envisioning for U.S. is a system where you literally go and get whatever your device you have, your U2F device that may be your phone, or a YubiKey, or a smart card, or some kind of biometrics tied to your phone, and you show that for an entity that can assure that you're real you, if that's U.S. Postal Service or if it's your bank, some kind of identity assurance organization. It may be some kind of online place. You go, and so now it's my real you. So it's not owned and controlled by the government. It's owned and controlled by you. And that's what we're postponing.
Right, and the government's having a really tough time with the idea of what is owned and controlled by who, because previously, not previously, currently, agencies can go to different service providers and send them a national security letter and say, hey, we want all their email. And hands are tied, here's the email, because you don't really have a choice in that matter. And we're seeing companies like Google and Facebook actually sue the government over this and say, hey, we should be able to at least disclose how many incidents there are of this. And we've seen really fantastic stuff being done as far as transparency reports, but there's still so much further we can go. And then we see law enforcement not happy with the fact that for instance, an encrypted iPhone. Hey, we have this, suspect's iPhone, but it's encrypted. So, hey, Apple, can you unlock this for us? And they can't do that.
No, I mean, that was a reason that in this security summit at Stanford, some of the big CEOs from the big tech company were not there. Apple was there, and they made a very clear statement that they're building great security to protect their users. And you're absolutely right. There is a tension between the U.S. government and the tech companies, but I think there is a solution, and I'm saying this is a bigger problem. You can't just start fighting.
Yeah, this has very little to do with authentication at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So for the reason I wanted to be there and have the conversation is. We believe, Yubico, this is in our mission, that people should own and control not only their own identity and their own keys, but their own secrets, everything. And you have to be able to be anonymous if you want to, and you won't need to hide your identity if you want to, because that's how internet was built.
Yes.
And that's what we should never accept anything else. That's going to be really scary if people start to control the internet.
Right. No, a free and open internet fosters your inherent human right, your ability for freedom of expression, and freedom of expression without prejudice from, say, a government that doesn't like how you are. And so it's good that, for instance, with U2F, things are being done as far as authentication and making it stronger, making it more difficult to, say, break into your account. I'll give an example. In Arab Spring, Syria was doing some really nasty things as far as Facebook was concerned. They were, people were using Facebook and other social media to organize protests, and the government realized this and was, hacking into people's accounts by very simply doing a DNS phishing attack where they would redirect them to a different Facebook login looking site where they could capture their passwords and then find out who these people are, their true identities, and people got disappeared. And that's really scary because we're talking about the same concept here as the law enforcement that wants to get into some suspect's iPhone. Whether you have a predisposition that, oh, that person's probably a drug dealer or not, it's really scary when we talk about governments disappearing people because they don't like what they're saying on social media. And to Facebook credit, they did actually do a lot to change the login scheme so that you have to go through and pick different people that are whether they're strangers or real friends. So they've done a lot in the authentication sense to kind of prevent some of that from happening in the future. But I know that there's certain instances where these companies maybe they don't want to know anything about their users.
After the Arab Spring, we know because many of these companies you talk about are actually Yubico customers. So we had quite thorough discussions with them of their dilemma. In one part of them earns money of collecting data. And when the Arab Spring happened, there was a security architect at one of the big cloud companies saying to me, Stina, this was a situation where we wished we didn't have the data. And FIDO U2F is actually designed to address that problem, that you can be secure yet anonymous. Historically, high security is not tied to being anonymous. It's and I think that's why we're excited about U2F.
Yeah, and I think that it goes beyond authentication, as you mentioned. I think we try to figure out what makes it safer, but as well as more secure. And I think that the FIDO U2F is just a baseline. I think we can definitely grow that protocol and make it something that goes beyond authentication. I think that's our dream to see.
So yeah, I mean,
I think about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, U2F could, as the next step, be used for encryption of files.
Yeah.
And the YubiKey you can already today use with an OpenPGP and PIV, but it's not super user friendly. But I think that our wish is that U2F eventually goes there. And we also believe it could be used for payment in the browser, where you just tap your credit card or directly to your phone. Or, I mean, there's a lot of fun things that can emerge from this protocol.
Two fantastic examples that somebody could get involved with the virtual hackathon, the YubiKing, and build out. When I think about this from an adversary's perspective, right? And I think like, okay, so now I'm some evil government, and I'd like to get into my citizen's account because I'd like to disappear them. And so I go for the low-hanging fruit because authentication is in its current form very weak. I simply, fish the login page and get their username and password, and then, Bob's your uncle. I can now just log in and find out everything about them. That is solved with using second factor, whether it's universal second factor or another product. It's that part of that is solved. But at the same time, okay, so again, I'm the adversary. Oh, they're using two-factor authentication. That's okay. I go to Facebook and they say, hey, here's a national security letter. Give me all the data you have on this guy. And you're right. It's very scary because these services only exist because they can monetize. And the main way that they cannot monetize is through targeted advertising, which means that they need to know enough about us. They need to know, hey, you're uploading baby photos, so here's some baby food that you might be interested in, things like that. If they don't know what the content is, on the one side, they're totally indemnified in the similar way to Apple is when it comes to, say, not being able to unencrypt the person's iPhone. But they could respond to the national security letter with, we don't know, or maybe even, here's the data, but it's encrypted, so we don't even know what's inside of there. Is that, okay. There's two questions there. First of all, is that a world that we can actually strive to live in and actually make some business sense? And two, is that something that that YubiKey and FIDO and U2F can help support?
That's a tough question. I think we haven't crossed that yet in terms of making it beyond authentication. But I think we see a world where users should have a choice, and we truly believe that. We truly believe that. Ultimately, the user is going to decide. And you can be an oppressive government or not oppressive government. The user still wants to decide. And we need to support that. And if we believe that the internet is open and free, we need to support the decisions made by individuals that want to protect themselves and want to protect maybe their families. So we need to enable that scenario. And that's definitely a use case that we strive to meet as we grow our company.
Yeah, so Actually, you're asking specifically can we move towards encryption with FIDO U2F? And I certainly believe that. I mean, U2F is a very lean, basic protocol. I mean, where you can add stuff on top of it. And we would love to see people in the virtual hackathon maybe helping us to figure out, what is, how does the encryption look for a key that you buy on, eventually 7-Eleven,
Sure.
and you upload stuff on your, somewhere in the cloud, and you're the only one who actually sits on the keys. So if that cloud is hacked, or if the government say, hey, I want that stuff on that cloud, then, there isn't anything there. The person who actually has it is you in a key. That could be your phone or your YubiKey.
Right, and I think about that because the implementation of U2F, if you haven't tried this, you really should. It's actually really good because it's so transparent to the user. You don't have to think about Diffie-Hellman and PKI and all of that stuff. No, you just plug in the key and then you're logged in, right? So I would love to see that same kind of mechanism applied. In fact, technologically, there's not much different between protecting your authentication and protecting your content.
I agree with that. The premise today is that the keys today mince out key pairs. So there's a private and public key, and basically when we send that over the wire, everything is in the sense the digital signatures is protected. So you could apply today. U2F is based on challenge response based on digital signatures, but you can apply the same concept to encrypting data. So we see it as a first step in this big things to solve in the world, which is to solve the authentication and then bring it to the next level, which is can we actually do something beyond that. So I think the protocol is primed to evolve into something like that.
Yeah. This is, by the way, why these guys are here is not because they're a vendor that makes a really cool authentication token, but because you guys are really thinking about solving real world problems and bettering the internet for humanity and not just solving oh, I logged in better, but providing open source tools for which people can build out a next generation platform that's not as susceptible to some of the abuses that we've seen against the human rights on the internet. And that's really the warm fuzzy that I get, the takeaway here. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on this?
Thank you for inviting us. It was great.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So everybody should head over to the Virtual Hackathon, find out about YubiKing, find out about U2F and all of that over at Yubico.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks.
Doesn't matter if you're a fan of WebRTC or ActiveX. When you need a website and a domain name, you're going to want to get it online as fast as possible. You got that killer idea, let's take it to fruition, and you can do it the same way we do. Shannon and I, huge fans of domain.com, not just because they've been sponsoring Hak5 for years, but because they are a fun place to do business. They're affordable, they're reliable, they're easy to use. Mostly you can tweet them at domain.com and see why. It's such a great group of folks over there. I said folks, that's right. They're folks. And these folks want to hook you guys up, so check this out. Use the coupon code HAK5 at checkout and get yourself an additional 15% off. So when you think domain names, think domain.com.
We're back, and it's now time for the trivia question of the week. Last week's trivia question was, what was the first ARPANET message? And the answer was LO. Not hello, just
Wait,
LO.
What?
Yeah, it's just low. Because
I've
the
heard
first
it,
part
and then it crashed.
fell off.
Hey, actually, check this out here. If config low. See? Okay, that's not an Easter egg,
You're a
but
dork.
I am a dork. Hey, I think that's how we should greet each other from now on.
Low.
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 If you see it at DEF CON, say low.
Low. I also have a trivia question for this week if you would like to hear it.
Sorry.
This week's trivia question is, FET stands for what kind of transistor? And you can answer that over at hak5.org/trivia for your chance to win some swag. And yes, I did say swag.
Yes. It's a good transistor.
It is.
Yes. Yes, we're gonna leave it at that. Hey, we have some viewer feedback this week that I think we should get into
do.
because we're
We
doing
got
all sorts of
lots
fun
of feedback
projects and we've
about
got a lot of
Jitsi.
good stuff going on. So you wanna kick it off?
Sure. All right, so our first question is, Hey Hak5, please do more episodes on Jitsi. Can Jitsi Hangouts be embeddable or fired up on instance within an existing web page? Sorry if these are noob questions. I'm new to web development, from Derek. And those are not noob questions. Those are really good ones, actually.
Yeah, not at all. And you can embed just about anything on anywhere using a terrible hack called the iframe, and now everyone cringes. But dude, even YouTube uses this. So, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world nowadays. I was on Team Frames, actually. No, I was on Team Table, not Frame. But then again, 1990 doesn't care anymore. So the premise of this is that you can create like a little box on your web page that actually is like another kind of sub-web browser to any other web page. So you can take an asset and then just plop it on your page. And so if you head over to hak5.org/live right now, you'll see that this is the same way that we've, say, embedded the Studio Dropcam, which isn't streaming right now, or the Hak5 IRC, or if I come down here, hello, it's the Hak5 Jitsi. And that's just a matter of, inspecting the element. We can actually come down here into the code and see it's somewhere in here, in there, in there. Come on. You guys get the idea.
So it's an iframe.
It's an iframe.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
And so it's iframe src equals quote and then the URL. So in this case, I've embedded the Jitsi for hangout.hak5.org/hak5 because Jitsi doesn't have like a good way to see what all the rooms are and stuff, and so I just say, hey, everybody go into the /hak5 one, which is what a lot of people on IRC have been doing. So it's good stuff.
Speaking on the room question, Blake asked, a room list would be a great feature for a public hangout space. Otherwise, I don't know which room to join to hang out.
Yeah, which is why I'm saying /hak5 because unfortunately there isn't a room list. While it's really nice that, although that's not to say that it couldn't exist because Jitsi Meet is open source. So if you wanted to hack at the code to make that happen, you probably could. I think what we're looking to do, since it's not. So if you rolled this in your organization, you may want to use this as an alternative to something more expensive from one of the vendors like Citrix or something, or say as an alternative to Google Hangouts, right? So you could roll this in your environment and then it'd be really useful for, say, like the accounting meeting team to use /accounting and some other like web dev team to use /webdev. But no, when it comes to the Hak5 community, yeah, of course we all want to know where's everybody hanging. So it's been just kind of ad hoc. We're just like popping on IRC and being like, hey guys. But until then, I'm just going to say use /hak5 and we're going to see what we can do about fixing that maybe. But Jitsi Meet is really in its infancy. Yeah. Like this is 1.0.468 or something version.
They're very new.
Yeah. So that doesn't exist yet. But hey, it's open source. So, take a crack at it.
I think that about wraps up this episode.
That does. We want to once again remind you that we are doing all sorts of epic stuff between Metasploit Minute and ThreatWire and TechThing and Hacktip and Hak5 and Pineapple University and so much good stuff. We've got Pentest with Hak5 going on. We've got camps coming up, Hack Across America. It kind of just goes on and on and on. So hak5.org is where you can always find everything, no matter what. If we ever miss an episode on the feed, you'll always be able to find us there. And just want to thank you guys for your continued support of that. So,
Aww.
Yes.
E-hugs!
Yay.
Thank you, everybody. And of course, hackshop.com is where you can go to check out all the different merchandise that we have. We're bringing in a bunch of stuff for the new shows, so that's going to be really exciting. And a turtle.
There's good things on the way. We're very excited.
Yay.
So expect epic stuff by DEF CON for sure. Yes.
I like turtles.
We'll leave it at that.
I had a turtle as a pet once.
Okay, so with
my first pet.
all of that,
I just gave away a
feedback at hak5.org is how you can get a hold of us and let us know what you like. Or you can just leave a comment below. And thank you so much. If you're like a patron to Shannon's Tech Thing or ThreatWire, do really appreciate that. If you can, help us out by, buying stickers and whatever other hacking merch over at Hackshop.
I vote donate a corner.
Or if you could, just like and subscribe and all of those things that they say at the end of lots of other videos. We appreciate that too. No matter how you get your Technolust on, we love it. So thanks once again for being part of something that's so special to us. With all of that, I'm Darren Kitchen.
I'm Shannon Morse.
Trust your Technolust.
Bye-bye.
I am mate'd.
You're
I'm
mate'd?
fully mate'd.
I am sweet tea'd. Sweet tea'd.
Sweet Thai.
Sweet tea'd.